order to monetize.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How's it going, guys?
Hey Ron, how you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
Pretty good.
All right. Let me just make sure I can share, and we'll get this thing going for you. All right. Yeah, we're good. All right, guys. So actually today what we're going to do is we're going to just mastermind. I'm going to give you a list of topics. You can choose something from that list. You can choose something not from that list. And we're going to talk about that because if something's on your mind, if something that a particular topic will benefit you more, will provide value to you more, we're going to talk about that. So let me get the screen up and running, and let's get this thing going. All right.
Ron, I think a lot of people were waiting, so you might get a lot of people to come in.
Sure. I don't see anybody in the waiting room. Just, oh, wait a minute. Mina's in there. I see it now. I see it now. Let me get them in here. Joining. Okay, we'll be good. All right. Let me get the slideshow going. Check. Here we go. All right. Let's keep this waiting room up here on the side. All right. Should be good to go. All right. We're a little late. I'm Ron Lugashi, Zamir Group, Keller Williams, buyer specialist. Here we go. Okay. Here's your list of topics. Pick one. Anyone. Feel free. First one to yell something out is the one that we are going to discuss while I'm inviting people. It doesn't have to be on this list. It could be on this list. You tell me.
I'd say lead gen activities. I know you've said in the
Lead
past.
gen activities. You know, since I know that somebody always picks that one, I have a slide ready for you. So let's go to that slide.
Another thing which I wanted to talk is the paid and internet leads and how do you
Sure.
get the leads?
Sure, we're going to talk about that too, because there are many times where agents approach me and they say, should I not, should I expand, should I cancel? We'll talk about that too. So let's get to lead gen activity. So there's different kinds of lead gen activities. There's no right or wrong. All right. So there's quite a few on this list. It's not even all of them yet. It gives you a pretty good indication of what your options are. Open house is a big one. Many agents use that as a lead gen activity. For sale by owners expireds. Social media, of course, if you systemize social media, systemize anything, it'll be a lead gen activity. Door knocking, circle prospecting. Sphere is a given. That means everybody, that's one of your levers, that's one of your sources. You are going to work it. That's everybody. Networking events, landlords, business-to-business groups, vendors, farming, cold leads, builders, probate investors, absentee landlords, referral networks, and some more that are not even on this list. Now, there's a long list of different types of activities. I would always recommend agents not try to do everything. Focus on 1, 2, or 3 of them, and then be really good at those, and not worry about the rest. So, did you have any particular questions about this, about what kind of systems we can put in place to improve our conversion in these type of activities? Go.
Yeah, something like the landlords or the builders. Um, how do you I contacted one of the landlords and he says he doesn't know who is moving, just they give a 60 days notice. So
Okay.
how do he says, how can I help you? I don't even know whether, because some of the people just give 60 days notice and they have been looking probably for a year now, and then they move out in 60 days. So how will I approach the landlord saying that, do you know if anyone is looking to buy? So he's like, I don't know.
Well, when I think landlord, I think those that are attempting to lease the property. Last time I checked, there's no rule that says you can't call them and ask them if they're interested in selling.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the builders, I know for listing, I have been like, I know that people have been calling builders, but what do you talk to
You
builders about?
systemize it like anything that you use as a lever, as a source of lead gen, you're going to systemize it. So, you could simply just say, well, my system's just calling them once a week, checking in, seeing if they have any new projects, or every 2 weeks, or once a month. How many face-to-faces are you arranging? How many items of value are you sending? There's still a system that needs to be in place if you want to improve your conversion. Now, of course, your system could be just, no, I'm just going to call all of them. That's fine too. There's no right or wrong. It's the question is what's better. So when you have a consistent system in place, it's always going to improve your conversion. So you can create that from scratch, or you can kind of imitate, copy from what somebody else is doing that they're doing at a high level.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's always a way, just to get to kind of discover which way you'd like to go about it. And it's like that with anything, even with people that are renting. If somebody says, no, I'm not interested in selling yet, then the conversation, of course, continues into, well, ideally, when would you like to be selling? So on and so forth, and they're in your pipeline, right? There's no bad leads. I mean, just because a lead says I want to sell in 4 years from now doesn't mean it's a bad lead. It's a lead that's in your pipeline for 4 years from now that you're going to follow up with. So our goal is to actually, obviously, agents like the immediate ones that I'm looking to buy or sell now. Those are great, but that doesn't mean that somebody's looking to buy or sell a year from now is any less important, right? It's just not now, and everybody's very instant gratification. But there's plenty of ways to build a lead pipeline. So the question is, what activity you're going to select. Now, when you're creating your business plans, you're filling in your GPSs, your 411s. What are you writing down? What are you writing down? What are your activities? Okay, you write lead gen as one of your priority, right? Your goal is the very top. You have a priority with several columns. One of your columns is lead gen. In that column, what is it? Is it open houses? Okay, if it's open houses, how many open houses? Is it for sale by owners? Okay, well, how many for sale by owners are you calling a day, a week, a month? Is it expires? Same. Social media? Okay, how many comments? How many likes? How many DMs? How many phone calls are you doing on a daily basis? Anything, how many posts are you doing on a daily basis? Is it, how many videos are you doing on a daily basis? So it's like you can, anything and everything, once you systemize it, it will improve your conversion. Yet when you're writing it down in your business plans and your GPSs, write it out. And if you ever walk into a room and you don't know what to do, you're saying, oh, I don't know what to do. Just look at your business plans. So you're the ones that chose it, right? So yeah, don't be a jack of all trades. Kind of focus on certain levers, certain sources, and focus on those. Be good at those. Be great at those. Be best at those. Oh, there's somebody in the waiting room. What was your original question? Internet leads, right? Okay. Let's talk about
Ron,
that.
I got a question for you.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about door knocking during COVID, or maybe some best practices we can do that? I know with real estate, it feels like it's good to get some face to face, but I feel like people might be hesitant to open the door for you during these times.
I can understand that. I think that many are. It's kind of a weird time. It doesn't mean you can't, but of course, many towns don't allow you to begin with, even without COVID, even pre-COVID. You weren't allowed to, or you need to do it with a permit. So you just got to be wary of the local laws, of course. And yet there are still door knockers going on, right? There's still door knockers going around. You get those guys from solar panels, or you get the guys from Verizon or Optima or whatever, right? So PCNG door knocks to check your meter all the time. So there are still door knockers out there. I have a feeling that it's less. It just seems like there's a lot less, and it's understandable because of COVID. So it's you just got to tread lightly, right? Just be wary of what's going on around you, and discover practices that will help you improve conversion. Of course, as you're door knocking, many of the doors, maybe if they don't answer, what are you leaving behind? After, if you do come face to face, what's your follow-up system like? So on and so forth. You know, it's not just about walking around knocking doors. It's also about how many doors. How many doors a day? How many doors a week? How many doors a month? So on and so forth. You have to put numbers to it. Because if you're just going to say, you know what, I'm going to try this one time, well, it's not going to be, you're not going to have consistent results. So any activity that we're choosing to do has to be done with consistency in order to have measurable results. So you put a number to it. So if you say you're going to door knock 100 doors a week, awesome. You're going to door knock 10 doors a day, wonderful. Okay, for sale by owners, I'm going to call 5 today. I'm going to call 10 today. I'm going to call 100 in this week. I'm going to call 100 in the month. There's no right or wrong, but put a number to it. Anything, any activity that you're doing. You have something to work towards. All right. Let's go back to internet leads, because internet leads isn't even on here. And of course, you could pay for leads. It doesn't have to even be internet leads. It could be incoming leads from sign calls, from any type of incoming lead and incoming call. So let's talk about those for a second. Specifically about this, what questions do you have? So I can focus on those. I don't want to just ramble on about items that don't necessarily provide you value. What about this interests you the most?
Oh, sorry, was that for me, Ron?
No, I think Parul was asking about it.
Okay.
She's on mute now. There you are.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you were asking me.
When you said internet leads, what about this interests you the most? What are you looking to discover here?
Yeah, so I was like, the social media thing, right? So it kind of puts everything in there.
Well, social media is a little bit different. This is so social media, when we're referring to social media, you have to create a system. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to generate leads from social media. That's all nice, but put a plan to it. Put it into action. What does it look like? So when we're writing our business plans or GPSs, let's just say your priority is social media. Okay, well, give me 5 strategies. What are your 5 strategies? All right, you can put more strategies, you can put less, it's okay. But what are your strategies? So I just like to give examples. When it comes to social media, you can do, I don't know, 50 likes a day, 10 comments a day, do 5 DMs a day, 5 messages a day, and 1 phone call a day. You do that every single day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever you want, whatever's in your calendar. Are you going to get business out of it? Probably, if you do it consistently, right? And then how many posts are you doing? Daily, weekly, monthly? What type of posts are you doing on holidays? What are you doing for birthdays? What are you doing for anniversaries? What are you doing for whatever type of event? You can come up with different events. What type of videos are you doing? What type of value are you providing? So there's all kinds of different ways to systemize it. You get to create it. That's the best part. You're the author, right? You're writing the story here. You're writing your own path. You're creating it. So you're gonna write down all of your strategies for this particular priority, which is our social media, and you get to create it.
So I understand like doing campaigns and all that kind of stuff, but like when you're talking about the incoming leads through the internet.
Okay, so that's different. So yeah, only because you mentioned social media.
No,
So
I understand. I got the difference between them.
Okay, yeah, I see a difference in them, because incoming leads, when somebody says internet leads, for instance, I'm thinking Zillow, Realtor.com, pay-to-play type of services. Maybe even a sign call it could be. So if you're looking to improve conversion in this type of, I guess you can call it a lead gen, a source, because you're paying for it. When you pay for it, if you are considering paying for it, I will give you some very good tips. If you don't intend on becoming an expert in that niche, don't pay for it. Your conversion will be much lower. And I'll give you an example. If you were paying for a zip code, because it goes per zip code. Peru, what town do you live in?
Upper Saddle River.
Okay, Upper Saddle River. I don't even know how many. I don't even go to Upper Saddle River. And it's not that it's that far. It's just that I don't focus on that area at all. So let's just say there's I don't know, 30 homes in Upper Saddle River. There's probably less than that, probably 20, right? So let's just say there's 20 homes in Upper Saddle River, and you haven't seen any of them, and you start paying for Zillow, and you start getting phone calls, and you don't know what these houses look like, and you don't know what they're selling for. What's your conversion going to be like? Now let's compare it to a situation where, okay, I'm paying for Zillow, I'm paying for internet leads. My intention is to see everything that is available, everything that will come out in the future, to know what they sell for and be on top of everybody and everything when it comes to this particular zip code. What happens is when these incoming calls come in, what are those conversations like? You've already seen the homes. You've prepared for the opportunity, unlike someone that's just paying and waiting for something to come in and kind of crosses their fingers. So if you want to improve your conversion, if you're paying for it, make sure you see the inventory. Make sure you become an expert in the inventory. That'll help you improve the conversion more than anything else. Other ways to improve conversion with this type of source is obviously speed to lead. It's important, all right? You want to get to people as quickly as possible, because if you don't, somebody else will. They're clicking.
So
Inquiry.
So the premier agents, when you see on the Zillow or Realtor or Trulia, those are the people who actually pay, and people click on their names. That's what's called the, I don't know.
Yeah, premier agents on Zillow, they're the ones that pay to play. They're the ones that are paying for the exposures, and they're the ones that are getting the inquiries funneled to them. So it's just the way that their system works. I'm not saying I would recommend for most agents not even to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's a waste of money, or the first year, 2 years, it's more of a training type of period. That's really what you're paying for, where you're just, you're gonna take the frequent calls, and you're just gonna get better and better at it over time, because you're not gonna get better, be the best at it overnight. So your conversion will have to improve over time, not necessarily immediately. So, and you have to be okay with that. Especially now in today's market where there is no inventory, I wouldn't recommend actually somebody jump in just now, because you can get as many buyer leads as you want. It's not going to help you much. This type of market where there's no supply at all, I'd be wary about spending money right now on this type of lead source to begin with. Even if you were, an expert in the area, even if you were very, very responsive, even if you were a magician when it comes to scripts. So it's just one of those tough markets to be a buyer's agent. And these are mainly buyer leads that come in. Just, I caution you with that, but obviously everybody runs their own business. They can choose to do it, to not do it. It's whatever they like. Now, when it comes to other ways about improving your conversion, yes, we spoke about expertise, and we spoke about speed to lead. That really is the name of the game in this case. Scripts will go a long way. You don't want to waste your time. The majority of these leads are not ready, are not willing, are not able at this very moment in time to buy a home. Not only that, many of them have agents, right? But if you don't ask the question, and you're one of these go and show, jump and run type agents, you're going to be wasting your time. Because one thing I discovered is that, I don't know if you noticed, the public has no problem wasting our time.
That's what happened in a lot of open houses now. Everyone's coming in with a realtor. So even if you follow up, it's just to follow up for the open house. You can't tell them that. But that's another question. So some people suppose I'm doing a open house somewhere in middle of New Jersey, but they are also looking in Northern Jersey. Can they have two agents? Because the person who is their agent looking in like Middle Jersey or somewhere, he doesn't know anything about Northern Jersey. So can we become their agent for Northern Jersey? Can that be done? Is it allowed?
Yeah, I don't, it should be allowed. I don't understand, unless they have an exclusive buyer's agreement across the entire state. That's different.
Okay.
Generally, on the exclusive buyer's agreement, there's also a place to put towns.
Okay.
Or a county. There's no rules to what you can or can't put in as far as towns. So I even put specific addresses in there sometimes. So you can put Bergen County, you can put Essex County, Middlesex County. I don't know where you're looking. There's plenty of counties.
The thing, like if they're working with another agent, but they want to look somewhere where that agent is not, he doesn't know or she doesn't know. So can they
You
have
definitely
like,
could. Ideally, obviously, if they're looking in other areas, we want to get to them first so that we can refer business out to, particular agents and get a referral fee for it. That's the more ideal situation, right? So if as you're pre-qualifying them and you're asking them if they're looking in any other areas, and they say, well, yeah, we're looking in Morris County. I was like, oh, okay, great. Do you need any recommendations in Morris County? I'm familiar with all the top agents in that area, and they might say, yes, great. Let me hook you up with this particular agent. It's okay if I give them your number. They'll go ahead and schedule the appointment, right? Because you're giving the contact info to that particular agent. They'll reach out, go from there. So if they end up choosing to purchase in that area, it makes sense that you get the referral fee out of it. But obviously, if they started looking in a different area, already started working different agent, it complicates things a little bit. You can
exactly.
choose how to move forward. It's your business. I'm
mean,
not going to tell you there's a right way or a wrong way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people coming from New York City right now, they're so confused. They're looking in Long Island, they're looking in middle of New Jersey, they're looking in northern Jersey.
So
they don't know.
I love that you brought that up, and I'm going to take this share screen off for a second because we're going to talk about it. When there's very, very little to choose from, and they have a very high sense of urgency where they need to buy a house, what are we seeing in buyer behavior? It's really interesting because it's a lot different than it was before. Buyer behavior, that's what they're doing. They're expanding their search criteria as far as what areas they're looking in. Because of the sense of urgency, all of a sudden, instead of focusing on a particular town or area, now they're going, it's a wide net. They're going in Long Island, they're going in Staten Island, they're going in North Jersey, they're going in South Jersey because they're stressed out. Now, it's our job to be the guide. It's our job to listen to what they're looking for and go find it for them. And if we can't do that, then it just, it's just a challenge that we either can't overcome or we can't because of the current market conditions. And, we have to be okay with them ending up buying in a different state or ending up buying a different area or renewing their lease. Or things are going to happen. And you have to make a decision at that very moment if it's somebody that you want to be working with or not. Again, it's your business. You get to choose.
I tried to tell them, I'm like, you cannot go. I mean, what are you looking for? I tried to get their, points where they're like, we need a good school district. I cannot steer them to one particular town because they're like, can you tell me that one great town where there's a best school district? And I'm like, I can't tell you just one town. I have to tell you like maybe 4 and 5. There's a lot of towns in Bergen County which are good, but then they're like, no, we also want to look somewhere in in Summit and this area. I'm like, you cannot. And then they're like, we looked already for last 3 months. We have been looking in Long Island too, but we don't like ranches over there. They're older homes. We want to spread out over here now, and
Let's slow down. Let's slow down. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, because you said a lot of things in there, and you have to really stop and kind of dig in deeper on each of them if you want to get somewhere with somebody. So let's start with the schools. Yeah, you can't. Maybe you don't feel comfortable naming towns, but you could ask them a simple question. What does that mean? What does a good school district mean to you? And they'll tell you, well, when I go online, I want to see a rating of 7 or more. I was like, okay, great. There's these 2 websites, greatschools.org, niche.com. If it shows a rating of 7 or more for the high school, are those towns that you would consider? They'll be like, yes, great. You just minimize it. Based on what they requested, these are the towns. Say, River Edge and Ridgewood and Oradell, and obviously River Edge and Oradell are the same high school, but the, Tenafly and whatever, whatever schools are ranked 7 or more on those websites, that fits their description. Now you can start naming towns. Because that's what they're asking for you to go find for them, right? So they could also go look for it very, very easily and just name the towns for you. But you help them increase the awareness level of what they're actually looking for, so you minimize the options. As far as the areas that you mentioned before, Summit and Short Hills, Montclair, like those are different price points, right? If you're looking for a $650,000 home and move-in ready in Bergen County, a good school district, and you're telling me Summit, no, don't waste your time. You're not going to find anything over there. There's not, it doesn't exist. So it's, you can go to Morris County. You might find some there.
Yeah, they were like pre-approved for like $1 million. So that's why they were confused to go somewhere over in that area, or they want to come here where there's Ridgewood, where there's Tenafly Good School District, or, so I was telling them, I'm like, you have to first see where you want to go. You cannot go all the way over there and then come here. You have to make up your mind. What's your criteria? Why you are spread out in both areas is like, what's more important for you? I asked them. So the good school district, being close to, the trains and the buses, and so that they can commute once the things open up, and, they want area where they have good downtown, so.
You just minimize, I'm
City.
not even kidding, you just minimize it to like 5 possible, maybe 4 or 5 possible towns. Like you're not going to look in any more of those.
Exactly.
Now it's really going to come down to the product for the price. So if they're telling you 1 million new construction, they're not going to find it anywhere. I don't care what town you go to. It doesn't matter if you go to Ridgewood, Tenafly, Summit. It doesn't matter. Maybe Livingston, but you got to be okay with the taxes. But there's no like real downtown in Livingston. It's just Mount Pleasant Avenue, and then going onto Livingston Avenue towards the high school. But
they're coming from New York City, so they're thinking, their mind is still set in like bars and restaurants and downtown.
That's Montclair, but good luck for 1 million. Like again, if they're looking for a resale, different story. If they're looking for an older look or newer, different story. Like every when you when you kind of dig deeper into what they're looking for, do a really good needs analysis, discover what they want. You can guide them. That's our job. Our job is to guide them, take them straight. Our job isn't to show them everything. Our job is to show them the right ones, right? But we have to ask questions in order to find that out. What exactly are they looking for?
But do you recommend someone like me, like, spreading out all the way in Summit area too, and taking them around here? It's just too much. I feel like
you're asking me a personal question, and it might differ from everybody here. So I have a geographic max distance. I'm not going to go further than 35 minutes. I don't care what. So Summit, I went there once, never doing it again.
Right.
Not doing it. I learned my lesson. I'm going to refer it out. I'm not going that far out. You might go an hour and a half. I know people that go down to the shore. It's a personal decision. I'm not going to tell you, you should limit your search. If you're asking me what I do, yes, I limit my geographic distance. I'm not going further than X amount of minutes. Doesn't matter where it is.
It's like, so you make those, you tell them in the start, like, you work in this area and you specialize here. So it's just
okay. Somebody just last week, somebody said, I want to be in Morris Plains. Morris Plains is not that far. It's maybe 35 to 40 minutes. I'm not going there. I referred it out. Right. So it just depends on your business. You might be willing to go all the way to Randolph. You might be willing to go all the way to Cherry Hill. I don't know. Right. But again, to each his own, right? Whatever works best for you. What I found was that the stronger your pipeline is, the stronger your lead pipeline is, the stronger your pending pipeline is, the more likely you're going to tighten it up. You're not going to go as far. Now, if you don't have a very good pipeline, you're more likely to go further out. That's just like what I found with agents.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah. So let me put this screen back up, and then we have a good 20 minutes to talk about anything that will benefit you. Share my screen, unless you can think of something until I do this. This is a mastermind. It's basically any topic you want to talk about, we are going to discuss. I just don't want to keep talking about things that don't necessarily benefit you. I want to talk about the ones that will. Oh, where'd it go? All right. Well, in the meantime, until I can get this thing figured out, why don't you look at that list? I don't know. This thing's not working.
Hey, Ron, I had a question.
Yep.
Does the NJMLS offer anything like that, like as far as like leads? Is there a way that they offer a service of any sort, like, even like?
Not that I know of. Obviously it's the the Zillows, the Realtor.coms, there's the other websites that offer You know, instead of for pay, they give referral fees. You know, even Redfin started doing that too. So it depends on your source. The NJMLS itself, I don't think they do anything. I think it's just a website for the public and for agents to go to.
Hmm. Okay.
I think if somebody puts an inquiry on the NJMLS, it just goes straight to the listing agent. Pretty sure. I mean, we've gotten some of those.
Okay.
So what else? What do you guys see on here? What pops out at you? What's something that you were going through recently, thinking about recently, wondering about recently?
Buyer consultation.
All right, that's a fun one. Yeah. All right, let's do buyer consultations. So I'm just going to pull up this slide. Here we go. All right, so here's what you know about buyer consultations, and we only have 15 minutes. It's going to take up the rest of our 15 minutes because I can talk about this for a few hours if I need to. It's the short version of why we do buyer consultations, that it increases the likelihood they work with us and nobody else. That's the short version. The longer version is, yes, it helps build rapport, trust, loyalty, communicate confidence, competence, expertise with the client, and it increases conversion. We do business with them. It helps, allows us to set the expectations for them of us and us of them. They do not do this day in and day out. We do this day in and day out, which means if we don't set the expectations for them, they will set their own. What happens when they set their own? Surprise! That's exactly what happens. Surprises happen. We don't want surprises to happen because then that increases the likelihood you do not get to the closing table. So let's set the expectations. Let's prepare them. And let's educate them at the buying process. Let's discover what they're looking for. Let's ask and answer any real estate related questions they have. And let's communicate that there's nobody better to be working with other than us. And that's exactly what they're going to think walking out of that meeting after you have this type of discussion, presentation, consultation with them. Now, here's what I found. I found that the majority of agents don't do buyer consultations. That's what I found. And it's a very high percentage. It's in the high 90s. And the reason I know this for a fact is because every time I ask a room full of agents, whether it be 10 agents or 100 agents, I asked them the question, well, how many of you have purchased a home with a real estate agent prior to obtaining your real estate license? And I get about half the room that picks up their hand. And then ask the follow-up question. And that question is, well, how many of those agents sat you down, spoke about the buying process, discussed the market conditions, and answered any questions you might have? And it's always the same response. I don't care if I have 100 people in the room or 10 people in the room. It's between 0 and 1. It is a very small percentage of agents that do this, even though there's only benefits. There's no disadvantage to doing this. And so I always like to follow up with the questions. Okay, well, what is preventing your traditional agent from conducting a buyer consultation? What do you guys think? What are some reasons that agents, many agents, do not do this?
They think that, they'll know.
The buyers, did you know that, how many buyers I have that approach us and say, hey, listen, do we need to pay you anything?
I mean,
Buyers
I didn't know when.
Buyers don't know.
Yeah.
Buyers don't know. They don't know anything. And again, we're human beings, you, me, all of us. How do we feel when we don't know what happens next? How do you feel?
Very kind of stressed out, like what's going to happen.
Is that the type of buyer that we want to have?
Nope.
No. See, it's our job to decrease their anxiety level. We can totally do that if we just tell them what happens next. These are the most underused words in real estate. This is what happens next. Most underused words in real estate. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we just had a buyer consultation. This is what happens next. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we just saw this home you just fell in love with. We're going to submit an offer. This is what happens next. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we have an accepted offer. This is what happens next. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we just concluded attorney review. This is what happens next. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this is what happens next. This is what happens next. There's no way that they're going to remember everything you say during a buyer consultation. This is what happens next is what would set the expectation for what happens next. Unless you like surprises, then by all means, don't tell them. I highly encourage you and recommend you to always use that word usage, always do the buyer consultation because it does benefit us. What are some other reasons? Talk to me. What are some other reasons that maybe a buyer's agent is not conducting a buyer consultation presentation?
they think they don't need to inform the buyer everything so that, you know, they have the control over it and not the buyers?
I believe that you have more control over it if you conduct a buyer consultation, because
That's what I'm saying. It's good, but sometimes they think the other way. You know, they think like if we don't tell them, they won't ask us so many questions. They won't have objections. We'll leave.
Okay, well, it's a simple question. Okay, well, are you more of a leader in that relationship if you do a buyer consultation or not? It's a simple question, all right? Because when you're doing the buyer consultation, you're also communicating, I'm an expert. You're communicating, I know the buying process. You're communicating, I'm a very highly skilled negotiator. You're communicating this or that. You're representing that you're going to lead them to the outcome, the accomplishment, the achievement that they're looking for, right? So they're going to trust you. You're going to present confidence and competence and expertise, and they're going to trust you. Now, don't we prefer it that way, or do we prefer it the other way, the opposite way? So it's again, any reason that we come up with why a traditional buyer's agent is not conducting one, it's not going to be a very good one. There's always going to be, we can always increase the awareness level as to, why they should be doing it. So let's just say, well, they don't have time. Well, I always like to ask the question, well, what takes longer? Showing them 30 homes or discovering what they're looking for in 30 minutes? Obviously, it takes longer to show them 30 homes. Do the buyer consultation. Well, I don't know what to say. Well, okay, well, don't we discuss the buying process every single day? And don't we speak about the market conditions every single day? And don't we answer real estate related questions every single day? That's exactly what a buyer consultation is, right? We're finding out what they're looking for. We're talking about the buying process. We're educating them. We're making them feel more comfortable, more confident. You know exactly what to say. Oh, and the best part is you can't get it wrong, right? Why do I say you can't get it wrong? Because they don't know what you're supposed to say. So you can't get it wrong. Even if you forgot to say something, so what? They don't know. Just do it, like Nike says, right? So the benefits definitely outweigh any excuse or reasoning not to do it. And when I say that the majority of agents don't do it, what I see in that is opportunity. And I see an opportunity for us as agents to be better than the rest just by doing one. You set yourself aside just by doing one. You go above and beyond just by doing one. So do one, right? It's gonna maybe not be perfect the first time around. That's okay. You'll get better over time. You have to start from somewhere. Starting is always the most difficult thing to do. And then after that, it gets much, much easier with every time. It's kind of like riding a bike, right? You didn't quit.
I have a quick question. So when we do a buyer consultation, suppose, they're not free but they want to just start looking at the homes with us first. And then, they are saying we are pre-approved and, but right now we don't have time for buyer consultation. Can you just show us the house, a couple of houses on the weekend so that we know you come to know us a little bit, and then we can think about like, if we want, we want to work together or whatever. So when does I tried asking for a buyer, can I do a buyer consultation? There's no reply. I guess they get scared when we say buyer consultation. They think, I don't know what kind of questions they're going to ask, or they kind of, so I was thinking, is that a way to like first, show them a couple of houses and then do the buyer consult so that they feel a little bit, because they don't know me, right? And I straight away say buyer consultation. I guess that's why they stop replying to me.
Well, what you're discussing is systems. So how, what does your system look like? Now, I'm just going to answer your question because there's an easy, short, sweet objection handler. When somebody says, I don't have a lot of time. How much time do you have? That's it. That's your objection handler. Why? Well, why do I say it that way? Because they're going to say, well, we have 2 hours. Well, that's plenty of time to sit down, discuss the buying process, and go see 2 homes. Great, let's do this. Why don't we meet at my office? We'll have a discussion for 10, 15 minutes about the buying process. It'll help you feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident, and then we're going to go down the street and see some homes.
I even
Sounds
said
good?
that let's just do it over the phone, over the Zoom.
You
don't
could.
have to meet me. I
You
can
could.
do it, but they're like, how about we first see a couple of homes and kind of we'll make up our mind.
So there's a clear advantage, okay, to doing it in a sit-down setting via Zoom, Office, whatever. That doesn't mean you can't do it on the go, I call it. Okay. Now you can set up the conversation.
Mhm.
Now, how do you set up the conversation? Yeah, and that's perfectly fine, Mr. Buyer. I completely understand. You want to get to know each other. You want to see some homes. Why don't we do this? I'm going to go ahead and schedule these 2 homes for us to go see. And while we're at these homes, would it be okay if we discuss the buying process, spoke with the market conditions, answered any real estate questions you might have? Yeah, great. What am I doing? I'm setting up the conversation, and I'm setting the expectation that we're going to have this conversation at the house.
Right.
So there's no rule that doesn't say you can't talk about attorney review in the living room, and you can't talk about the inspection period in the backyard, and you can't talk about the mortgage contingency in the basement. There's no rule that says you can't do that. There's a clear advantage to doing it in a sit down setting, whether it be an office or Zoom. There's no distractions.
Right.
There's an increased likelihood to obtain yeses.
Mhm.
That's your advantage. I'm not saying you have to do it every single time. If you can't get them into an office or a Zoom or over the phone, yeah, by all means, do it on the go. I do it on the go a lot.
Mhm. I mean, you're a PhD in this.
You know, I don't want you to compare anything that I do to where you are right now, because I was there too. The only difference is that I had many, many meetings. I had many, many conversations. I had many, many experiences, and I'm just sharing them with you now. But it took me 5 years to get to where I am now. It's not just 5 years. It's very high intensity, high frequency, also surrounded by people that are much better than I am.
Yeah.
So it's really important to know that we don't grow in a day, but we do grow daily.
I just feel like so comfortable doing the buyer consultation because I know so much more about them. I can then help them much better way and, not just take them around everywhere and don't waste their time and my time. That's what that's what I
That-
feel like a buyer consultation is so important.
Yeah, that's a value proposition, right? You don't want to waste their time. You want to discover what they're looking for, and you're going to take them to the right homes. That's a value proposition you can communicate. And you're going to discover, over time how you like to do it. Again, there's no right or wrong. If you ask people, what their systems are for incoming leads and what their system is for buyer consultation, what their systems are for this, and that, it looks different. Everybody looks a little bit different just because we're all unique. And we all like to, our conversions and personalities are all a little bit different. So it's okay. Yours does not need to look like mine, and mine does not need to look like yours.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the buyers right now are very frustrated because there's not
Oh, yeah.
inventory, and they are like, they want to, they want to see homes. There are no homes out there, so I feel like, because they're already frustrated, they have been looking for last 6 months. It's even more necessary to do the buyer consultation for them, so that bring them to the reality. To
It's a very, 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 very challenging, strong, volatile, difficult sellers market right now. And we have what you call a supply and demand issue with very low supply and too much demand, way too much demand, crazy demand where it's starting to become the norm to get 20 and 30 offers on a property, which is unbelievable, right? Because I'm not a mathematician, but I do know that only one person can buy the house.
Right.
Whereas
And the sellers are looking for that too. They are not happy with just 2 offers. They want more to come in, and then they'll make a decision.
it becomes the price, and then it's a discussion about pricing strategy from a listing agent standpoint. Do
Right.
you have a pricing strategy? Do you have a listing strategy? Do you have a marketing strategy? Do you have an open house strategy? Do you have a showing strategy? Do you have a negotiation strategy? And if you start thinking about it, yeah, a strategy will help increase the outcome you're looking for, which is to obtain top dollar for your sellers. So that's on the other flip side. Now on the buyer side, they're looking for something else. They're looking to obtain. They really like this house. They liked it enough to submit an offer on it. Now they need to compete. So now we need to prepare them for that competition. Now, what I do know is that you can't give what you don't have. Okay, so if you don't know the buying process, you can't communicate the buying process. And if you don't know how to strengthen an offer in multiple offer situations, you can't communicate how to strengthen an offer in multiple offer situations. So you need, with every experience that we have, you're not going to win them all. I don't win them all. I don't even get close to winning them all. Every experience that we have with those buyers, every experience that we have in a multiple offer situation actually makes us a better agent. It makes us a better agent, whether you like it or not. Obviously, it's a frustrating experience. It makes you a better agent. It actually makes them a better buyer too. Now, all of a sudden, they're understanding that what you were talking about, this is real. This is not made up. And they're going to take, they're going to come in a little bit stronger, a little bit cleaner, and they're more of a professional buyer in the next time, if there is a next time. And I say it that way because how many chances are buyers going to give you before they look into different directions? They may give you 4, 5, 8, 10 opportunities, but how many offers are they going to lose before they go somewhere else, whether directly to a listing agent, to a to for sale by owner, to an agent conducting the open house, to somebody's, you never know, right? They go into different directions. So we don't want that to happen. We want to take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. In order to do that, we need to prepare them best we can, and just do good by them. And sometimes it doesn't matter what advantages we can provide. Sometimes you have no control over it, and you have to be okay with that too. A lot of times, the buyer, they hit their max. They can't go more than that, and somebody else did. And sometimes they went 30,000 above asking. They don't want to go more, and somebody else did. And sometimes it's, we come back to them and we say, hey, listen, Mr. and Ms. Buyer, there's 34 offers on the table. This is super crazy. Let's go next. That happened. We have no control over that. We can't make choices for people. We can influence them. We can prepare them. We can guide them, but you can't make choices for them. So, and we have to be okay with that we just don't have an unlimited amount of control, but we're going to do what we can to make things happen.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
When I bought my home last year, my agent, she was just not great, but she encouraged us to use, I think it's called an escalation clause.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up working out for us. That's how we got our house. But I was wondering what your take is on that.
So when it comes to escalation clauses, just understand that there's many, many agents and sellers out there that don't like them. So if you're in that situation where they're anti-escalation clause, then I wouldn't recommend using it. Also, I wouldn't recommend using it if you know that there's another cash offer. Being $1,000 above a cash offer, or even $5,000 above a cash offer is not going to help you with a mortgage. So escalation clause won't help you either. Now, when it gets really crazy, escalation clauses are tools that you can use, right? So I have no problem using it as a buyer's agent. I can understand why it would annoy some sellers. If you think about it, you're saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm willing to pay up to $500, but I'm only going to pay you $475. It's kind of annoying, right? But I have no problem with that because in my eyes, they're still getting top dollar.
Right.
Yeah. So, so how we communicate it might be another, conversation to have. How we communicate escalation clauses, you can put it under additional terms, even though we're not supposed to. The brokers don't like it, but the listing agents are always telling us to put it in there. They want it in there. So that's why I'm telling you from a boots on the ground, do it day in and day out. The listing agents are going to want you to put it in there, even the brokers don't like us to. That's number 43 on page 13. It's additional terms. We're going to write it out. You're also going to communicate it in the email, and I would discover in advance if they're going to be okay with it or not. Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
Can we discuss next week like some buyer's objection?
We actually did that last week, but I can do it tomorrow in the morning mindset call for you.
We did.
Why don't you tell me the objections and I'll prepare for tomorrow morning.
I don't know as on top of my head right now, but
you can just text me or email me. Send me the different ones, and I'll focus on that tomorrow morning. Next week, what did I have on the calendar for next week? It wasn't multiple offers. It was, I don't remember honestly. Oh, open house, improving conversion at open house is what we're doing next week. Okay. So we're in overtime, 2 minutes past. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for the participation. You guys were amazing. And I will see you next week. Have a great day. Let's get to work.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you.